Well, my name is Dr. Kate Selway. I'm an earth scientist and I'm out here on the incredible Greenland Ice Sheet. My team and I are here to make measurements that will ultimately help us know exactly how fast the ice is melting. And we're doing that by actually making measurements of the earth beneath the ice. So the ice sheet is a huge weight sitting on the surface of the earth. And you can think of it like a person sitting on a mattress. The earth is the mattress underneath, and it depresses underneath that massive weight sitting on top of it. When the ice melts, just like a person getting up off the mattress, the earth rebounds as that weight is lost. And our challenge here is that we don't know exactly how fast the earth is rebounding. So what we're doing is making measurements that will cover a huge area of the Greenland ice sheet that will help us to know what the temperature and composition of the earth is really deep beneath the ice. And that will help us know how fast it will be rebounding as the ice melts. This is a massive project. So we were out here already in 2019 and we started some measurements in the northeastern part of the ice sheet around a camp called East Grip. This part of the project will be out for 6 weeks on the ice, and we'll be starting at a place called Raven Camp, which is in the southeastern part of the ice sheet, doing about 3 weeks there, doing big traverses around there. Then moving to Summit Camp, which is right in the centre of the ice sheet, and doing another 3 weeks of traverses around there. We'll be on snow machines. There'll be 3 of us, and we'll be just sleeping in tents overnight as we are driving around these big traverses. At the outset, it's hard to know exactly how far we'll be going and how many instruments we'll be able to deploy, because it depends so much on what the weather is like, how much we get held up by storms, and how all of our equipment goes. This is, for me, this is the biggest field work that I've ever done. The work that we did out of East Grip, we were driving out of the camp on snow machines, but always returning to the camp at night. Here we'll be doing these big long traverses, camping out in tents. And yeah, we don't know exactly how fast we'll be able to drive, what the snow surface is going to be like, and how our snow machines will go with the conditions, how our sleds will go with the conditions, how our tents will go with the conditions, how our stoves will go with the conditions, and how we will go with the conditions as well. So this is a really massive undertaking. We've been planning this work for many years, 4 years that this project's been in the works. Really exciting to get it underway and start making these measurements. It's going to be hard work, but really important science that we're doing that we really hope will contribute to our understanding of what the ice sheet is doing up here. So I'll be making video diaries as we go, and I'll take you through the process. Thanks for coming along for the journey. Well, we made it. We are finally here at Raven Camp. It feels hard to even believe after the months, really years of planning for this work. And even as little as a week ago, even as little as a couple of days ago, it seemed like we're still waiting for permits, we might not make it out here. But man, here we are. So where's here? So this is Raven Camp. We're in the southwestern part of the Greenland Ice Sheet. This camp is really just a couple of people who look after a skiway. It's like a runway on snow that planes land on in skis. So actually Trisha, I don't know if you can hear, Trisha is out there grooming the skiway at the moment. So there's sort of Raven Camp itself just behind me. Trisha and Dave who look after it. And this place was originally, if you can see just there behind me, that dome structure. So this place was originally a radar, Cold War era radar base that the Americans had out here. And so it's still basically the US Air National Guard use it as a training ground to practice landing their military planes on the snow. So they brought us out on one of their training flights today, us and all of our cargo and our tents and everything. And here we are. So this is going to be our base for the first leg of this geophysics fieldwork. So we'll kind of use this like a hub, really, and go out from here on some long traverses. So maybe 4 or 5 days out on traverses, then come back here to kind of refuel, get food for ourselves, get fuel for the snowmobiles, then head out on another traverse. So really exciting. It's cold. It's forecast to be -30 tonight. So that's it's a bit of a shock to the system after. I mean, for me, I was last in Greenland 3 years ago, and I've been kind of stuck in Australia where it's been nice and warm since then. So a bit nervous about a -30 degree night. Nervous about how everything will go, how our gear will go, whether our sleeping bags and tents will keep us warm enough, whether our cooking gear will work in these cold temperatures, whether all the science gear will work, whether I've thought of everything that we're going to need and have brought it all out here, and just hoping that there's not something that I've forgotten that's going to be really important. So lots of things to be nervous about, lots and lots of things to be excited about. Just so excited to finally be out here and to be able to start this work. So here we are on the Greenland Ice Sheet. We've made it. We're day 5 of our first deep field traverse. So 5 days ago we landed at our kind of base camp here in the deep field, which is called Raven Camp. And so far we've traversed about 220 kilometres from there, and we've deployed 3 instruments so far. Things are going really well. It's cold. Our first night out here was -30. So that was a bit of a shock to the system, but we've all made it through, and we're all kind of making it through and having been warmer during the nights now. This is our setup. You can see we've got 2 tents there. The green tent, we're all sleeping in that green tents together. There's 3 of us, so all being in there together means it's a bit warmer for us, and also improves our safety a little bit if a polar bear comes. We have a fence around that, so that'll give us an alert if the polar bear does come, and also some motion sensors that will also give us an alert. And then we also have that yellow tent, and that's a bit of luxury. That's a slightly bigger tent that we are cooking in, and just have a bit more space to sit in. Here we have our 3 snow machines that we're using to drive, and our sleds with all our gear that we tow behind them. Everything going really smoothly so far. And there in the background over there, if you can see, behind us is just right over there is one of our stations that we've deployed. So yeah, super happy with how things are going so far. 3 instruments in the ground, everybody's safe and well, and all of our instruments and our gear is working well. Well, it's day 9, about 7:30 in the evening. And we've just returned from deploying our last station of this first leg of this field trip. Really, really exciting. That station is the southernmost station that will be in the ground for this whole project. And so it's sitting on the oldest, kind of most stable part of Greenland. So that's going to give us a really good idea of what the mantle looks like beneath the strongest part of Greenland. Today we've just done a 200 kilometre round trip to deploy that station and come back here. And that's about 5 hours. It was a pretty smooth snow surface, but it's still about 5 hours of snow machine driving. So it's a big task just to get a station in the ground. Really, really exciting that we finished these deployments. It's always a bit of a gamble at this part of a survey because, I mean, right now we have beautiful weather. It's still cold. It's still probably -20 degrees, but the sun's shining. There's no wind. You can see the ice sheet looking resplendent behind me. But you never know. Once we've got stations in the ground, we have to get back to them to be able to pick them up. And you never know if a big storm comes in, if that might hold us up from being able to pick them all up. We have a weather window of a couple of days we've given ourselves. But we really just have to cross our fingers and hope that the weather is kind to us and we're able to get all the stations back out of the ground. But for now, we've had some beautiful experiences today. We've seen a lot of birds on the ice sheet today. So we saw a few, what I'm told are snow sparrows, and also an entire flock of geese, presumably crossing over to the other side of the ice sheet. It's extraordinary when we're out here in just in so much kind of vast nothingness, that these birds can be flying overhead and know where to go. It's really amazing to see anything alive out here. So we're having a wonderful time and some really nice experiences. Well, it's day 15, I think. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. There's no wind. It's probably still -10, -15. But after the days that we've had, it feels like we should be sitting under a beach umbrella drinking cocktails. It's glorious. We are picking up the southernmost station at the moment. So I'm out here. I'm picking up an electrode. I'll show you what this looks like. So that's an electrode there in the hole with the preamp and the cable then heading out towards the logger. You can see I'm wearing skis. That's to reduce the risk of falling in a crevasse. We've had a bit of snow here, so everything's a bit deeply buried, but that's also meant that our drive out here was really smooth. One of the challenges is that the wind blows the snow into these little dunes called sastrugi, and that makes the driving really, really bumpy and really slow and really hard on all of our gear that's in the sleds and on our bodies as well. So with the snow today, we had this beautifully smooth, fast drive out here, and just a bit of digging to get the instruments out, but we can certainly cope with that in such beautiful conditions. So I'm picking up this electrode, and you can see out in the rest of our station there, we have Clint's there at the centre of the station, unplugging the cables and getting the box sorted out, and then Andreas is there at another electrode, picking that up and bringing that in. And he's just finished fueling up our snow machines for the drive to our camp. So great day. So far, all of our instruments have been still recording when we've come to pick them up, which is fantastic. Really amazing that they have withstood these really cold temperatures. All the electronics and the batteries, that temperatures below -30, that they've kept recording through that. So that's really fantastic. Really excited. Everything's going super well as of this very beautiful day. Well, this is the final pickup of this first leg of this field work. We're back at Raven Camp. You can see out there beyond the sled, there's the old Cold War era radar dome that's here, and the current day camp. There's a skiway there, so this was the first station that we put out. So it's been recording for almost a good couple of weeks, and I actually had a look at the data from this station. I'll show you here. I had a look at the data from this station last night, and it looks data that goes from looking quite shallow, so we'll be able to see exactly what's happening if there's any meltwater beneath the ice sheet here, all the way down deep into the earth to understand how the earth is behaving. So that's great. Really, we've been packing up our gear back onto pallets to then go onto Summit Camp for the next leg of the work today. We'll finish that work. We'll finish that packing tomorrow, and then so long as the weather is good, then we'll be flying out of here the day after tomorrow. We'll have one day back in town in Kangaslusuaq, and I'm really looking forward to just having a big rest, have a big sleep, and have a nice long shower. It's been really successful. We're all really happy with how everything's gone, but we're all pretty tired. It's been hard work. We've had long days. We've been driving long distances over really bumpy snow, and in really difficult weather as well. It's hard. It's hard on our bodies. You can see my nose here. It's not quite frostbite, but it's certainly a bit unhappy about having been in sort of minus 30 degree temperatures and 30 knot winds. My hands are really swollen from the cold, and also just riding the snow scooters is on the bumps is really hard on my hands. So yeah, we're just in need of a good rest. But yeah, fantastic that this work has been so successful, and we can have that rest, knowing that we've collected a heap of good data, and then head on refreshed to the next leg of the work out of Summit Camp. So I just wanted to show you what it's like when the weather's not so good. I think we're at day 18 now. We were able to get most of our gear packed up yesterday. Today was a bit of an off day, a down day, and we're supposed to be flying out tomorrow, but we've ended up having a big storm come through today with just strong winds and snow all day. I'm going to put these goggles down, which has just made it really impossible to do anything. I'm sheltering kind of behind my tent right now, but if I come out a bit and show you what it's like, flip the camera around. It's frozen. You just see it's really windy. There's lots of blowing snow through the camp, and really poor visibility. So probably only visibility of I don't know, 100 meters or so. So there's certainly makes it really hard to do it. So I'm just getting the camera background. Makes it really hard to really do anything. Everything gets snowed in. We've had to dig out the tents a bunch of times from the snow. Certainly wouldn't be able to do any extra packing today, and certainly can't pack down tents. Everything would just get ripped to shreds and blown to the other side of Greenland. So we're hoping for better weather tomorrow. If it's like this again, there's no way that they'll be flying. They need good visibility to fly. So yeah, this is I guess the other side of working in polar conditions, that the weather can really disrupt things. So we're just crossing our fingers that that it clears tomorrow. We can get packed up, get back to Kangerlussuaq in time to then be able to turn around 2 days later and head out to Summit. So so fingers crossed, and fingers crossed the tents stay standing tonight. Well, what a difference a day makes. We did not make our flight. We're still here at Raven, but the storm has now passed. It broke kind of this afternoon, and it's now a beautiful evening for what will hopefully be our last evening here. We have a flight scheduled for 9:30 in the morning. So gosh, we're just really hoping we don't wake up in the middle of the night to hear howling winds again and have the flight cancelled. But it's a really beautiful evening, and we had a chance today to head over to the old Cold War era radar dome and have a look around inside that, which was incredible. The dome is still in there. You can get inside, and now it kind of feels like a fitting send off to be able to have such a lovely evening here for our last evening. I'm not sure if you can see there's the radar dome, and there's even a beautiful halo around the sun tonight. You can see it a little on that side. We have quite a lot of work to do in the morning. We've got a big morning digging our tents out from all the snow that they've been under these last 2 days during this storm. But yeah, we'll get up early and we'll get the shovels out and work at that. And really hoping to be able to make it back to Kangerlussuaq tomorrow, have just like a day in a hotel, have a shower, have a nice sleep in a nice bed, have some internet, send some emails, see how the world's doing out there. And then hopefully the next day make it on to Summit. Fingers crossed. Well, it's happening. We've just had word that the plane has taken off from Kangerlussuaq, so it should be here in only about 20 minutes. We've had a big morning. So we've packed up our entire camp. We've packed up all the tents. They were so deeply buried in the snow. So we just have the snow machines there to go onto the plane. and Trisha and Dave, who look after Raven Camp here, have helped pack all of our cargo into these just perfect cubes of pallets. It's really incredible, all of our stuff on there. And there's Trisha's piston bully that she's going to drag the pallet over to the plane. And then the Air National Guard guys will load it onto the plane, and fingers crossed we'll be out of here and back to Kangerlussuaq. It's blue skies, sunshine, a tiny bit of fog, but yeah, they should really be able to fly in this. So fingers crossed we'll be back in Kanga within really like an hour and a half. Incredible. Day 22, and we're here at beautiful Summit Station. So we've had a pretty whirlwind couple of days. So we got out of Raven, landed in Kangerlussuaq, had to say goodbye to Clint in Kangerlussuaq. He's flown home. And then Andreas and I had just one night there, and we had to stay in hotel quarantine. They're really obviously keen for COVID not to get into the station here. So we had one night in the hotel, met up with Johanna, who has spent 10 nights in hotel quarantine there. Really, it was almost kind of too much of a shock to the system. I felt almost a bit unwell there. I think just kind of too much warmth, and the food was too rich. Just such a massive contrast from what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks. Even having a shower was it was a bit too much sensory overload, I think. And then early the next morning, we had our flight back out to Summit. And this is it's really exciting to be able to be here. Let me show you a camp. So here are some of the housing modules. This is the big house, kind of the main part of the camp, where there's the kitchen and places to sit and eat. There's some outhouses, some more buildings, some more accommodation, workshops and things over there. So this is, I'm going to put my goggles down. This is kind of the height of civilization compared to what we've had at Raven. So there's sort of 30 or 40 people who are here during the summer, 5 or so people who are here during the winter. And there is water and electricity and beds and a chef. It's even internet. Yeah, it's kind of the height of luxury. So super nice to be here. Super nice to have that bit of comfort, and then also just extraordinarily helpful people here. So really great to have help with, there's mechanics here, so help with our snow machines, carpenters, just people who can help us put things together that we need to get through the rest of this traverse. So we have a couple of days here now, unpacking our cargo again, getting everything ready. Given that we're kind of back in more of a society, there are a few more rules and regulations about what we can and can't do, so we have to wait a bit longer to get out. And then our plan is to start with the first traverse heading to the south, and that will link up with the stations that we just deployed at Raven. That'll be a long traverse. That's just over 600 kilometres, so that's the longest that we've done. And a big kind of loop to the south and southwest. That's where we're at. Super exciting to be here. Just a really nice place to be. Well, it's day 28. We're at Summit, and we're just skiing back to camp after leaving our depot. So one of the things that they have here at Summit is some really long-running experiments on snow, looking basically at pollution in snow. And for those experiments, they need to keep the snow clean. So that means that whenever the winds are blowing from the north, there's clean snow areas to the south of the camp. So whenever winds are blowing from the north, no machinery is allowed to run at the station. So we've set up a depot just past the clean snow area, because there's north winds today. So we've just dropped off our snow machines and all of the instruments we're going to need for our next traverse at our depot. And now that there's north winds, we're having to ski back to camp. So there's Andreas and Johanna skiing back to camp there ahead of me. Yeah, and so our plan is that tomorrow we'll ski back out to our snow machines and our instruments, and we'll head out on our second traverse. So that traverse will be heading to the north of here, and that will be linking up with the stations that we collected out of eScript back in 2019. So yeah, exciting. Really nice to have our depot out there so we're not held up. These north winds are expected to last for a few days, so it's good that we can keep working. Yeah, and it's nice to be skiing, actually. Nice to be travelling in a way other than sitting on a snow machine. So yeah, that's where we are, day 28. So this is day 32, and this is our final deployment of the whole survey. In fact, the final deployment of the whole project, which started back in 2019. We are north of Summit Station now. We're about 160 kilometres north of Summit. And so these deployments link up with the ones that we did from eScript Station back in 2019. So it's really exciting that we'll then have this whole coverage over Greenland. Here's the station here. There we go. You can see it's pretty snowed under. We got this in the ground 2 days ago, and then we've been stuck here in a storm since then. It's still pretty cold and windy now, but much worse yesterday. It was difficult to even stand up outside yesterday. So our whole camp got really snowed in. You can see there's Andreas and Johanna packing up our tent, and our snow machines there, and our sleds that were totally snowed in, and we had to dig them all out today. So hard work. It's cold. It's still sort of minus 25 at the moment, and now we're driving back to Summit. But yeah, really exciting to get this final deployment in, and hopefully the storms stop so that we can get back out to pick everything up before we have to fly out. Well, it's day 32, and we've just left Summit to start our first pickup traverse for the Summit work. Time's starting to get a bit tight, so we held up. We had that storm a couple of days ago that held us up. Obviously, the day of the storm we couldn't do anything, and then the next day we really spent half the day just digging everything out from all the snow drifts. Then we made it back to Summit, but then there's been these north winds at Summit for the last 4 days. So we haven't been able to drive the snow machines into Summit. So we arrived there, then we had to ski for sort of almost 2 hours from our depot to get into the camp. And we were really hoping that early this morning the winds were supposed to shift, but they didn't shift until kind of mid-afternoon. So yeah, we weren't able to leave Summit until 6:30 in the evening, which is normally when we'd be setting up camp for the night. So we've just driven for about an hour and a half, and we set up camp here. Yeah, it's tricky because we have a set day that we leave, that the plane takes us away, and we've got all these instruments in the ground, and there's not really any choice. We have to get them picked up. So hopefully the forecast for the next week is pretty good. We're just going to have to work really hard. We're just going to have to work long days. I guess the other thing that's happened when we were driving this route before, it was really beautifully smooth and flat, and we could drive pretty fast. But now this storm has dumped heaps of snow, formed these sastrugi, which I can show you, really little dunes of sand that just make the driving really, really bumpy. So before we could drive about 50 kilometres an hour, and now we're having to drive 25, 30. So it makes everything take just really a lot more time. So yeah, I think we've got some long days ahead of us in the next week to try to get everything picked up. And we've been feeling a bit tired. But gosh, then this evening is just such a glorious evening. Let me show you again what it looks like out here. It's just it's just a stunning evening here. Here's our camp over here. So the environment here really just affects your energy so much during the storm, and after the storm. It's really it's really hard, and it can be really draining, and the sky's grey and you've got snow slamming in your face. But then the sun comes out and the wind stops. It feels warm. I think it's probably still -20, but a beautiful evening like this really just kind of invigorates your energy and makes us feel like we can do it. We can work these really long days and get everything picked up. So hopefully the weather stays good. Hopefully this Astrugi smooth out, and we get all these instruments picked up before the plane leaves. Day 33. We started the day with our stove not working right, and now a snow machine breakdown. We've managed to get into the engine. We changed the spark plugs. So far it's still not running. We're trying next try to empty the fuel line, and that's kind of our last hope. And then we're down to trying to tow the snow machine back to Summit and hope we can get it working again from there. We're supposed to be, we're flying out in a week. We've only picked up one instrument on this loop. We still have 2 more to go, 400 kilometres to go on this loop. Yeah, so not a great day so far, and really not sure how things are going to go from here. Well, it's day 34, and we're further than we were yesterday, with 3 working snow machines. It took 6 hours yesterday to get it running again, and lots of teamwork and ingenuity, especially so on Andreas. None of us obviously are snow machine mechanics. Andreas and Johanna know a lot more than I do. So Andreas figured out that it was the spark plugs. We were on the satellite phone to the mechanic back at Summit, who was helping us figure out how to get into them. We had to pull the whole engine apart to get to the spark plugs, and then figure out how to change them. And then the engine was flooded. So back and forth on the sat phone with advice of how to fix all of those things. And then finally, 6 hours later, it started. So that was fantastic. We were looking at having to basically tow that snow machine and one of us back to Summit, and then hope that it could get fixed there, and then somehow get the work done without it. But anyway, so we lost most of yesterday, but now we've made it down to our furthest south station from this Summit work. So this is the station that links up with the Raven Traverse. Picked this up kind of last thing last night, camped here, and now we've got one station to pick up on the way back to Summit. So we're just going to get as far as we can today, and hope no more disasters befall us, and then hopefully we'll just be able to get everything done in time. So long as the weather stays good, the snow machines keep working. Our stove is still not super happy. It's boiling water, but it's really slow. But yeah, that's kind of the only thing holding us up right now. So things are looking certainly more optimistic than they were yesterday. Day 37. We're on our final pickup traverse. So we managed to make it back to Summit after that snow machine breakdown. We had some really massive long days with heaps of driving to get back to Summit, but we made it back, and we're still sort of on track for time. We just had one quick night in Summit. Then now we've headed north to pick up the final stations. Just finished our first night out here. Had another thing happen yesterday. We had a sled break. So the sleds have kind of a metal rod at the bottom of them that acts kind of like a rudder. And so that rudder broke, and so then the sled was just waving all over the place. So now this morning, just managed to switch that rudder with a smaller sled. So we're still hopefully able to carry all the stuff that we need to carry. But yeah, everything's starting to get tired and worn out. It's almost 4,000 kilometres that we've driven now. We're probably at like 3,900 kilometres now. So we're getting tired, all the gear's getting tired. Things have just been beaten around on Sistrugi for almost 4,000 kilometres. So a lot of things are starting to break. I spoke to the doctor at Summit about my hands that have been really swollen and giving me a lot of trouble. And he said that it's, like I thought it was from the snow machines. He said it's just a classic cold weather injury. His recommendation was that I not come out again. And he said basically every time they get cold now, there's more risk of doing permanent damage to the nerves. So that's not great either. So I'm just going to be super careful to keep at least one pair of gloves on all the time, and keep my hands as warm as possible in these last few days that we have to pick up now just 2 more instruments, one at Summit, and have a big push to get back. But we're going okay. Like, it's looking like we should actually get there now, hopefully. Day 38, and we are packing up camp for what should be, hopefully, the final time. Tent's coming down, the sleds are getting packed. Yesterday we managed to pick up the final 2 stations on this traverse. Everything was still recording, all the lights were still flashing, we drove a good distance yesterday, and now we have about 170 kilometres left to get back to Summit. It's been pretty bumpy again, but I'm optimistic it's going to get flatter as we go further along. And just fantastic. Like, only a few days ago, it didn't seem like we would be at this stage where we were getting all the instruments packed up. And now we've made great time, and we should get back to camp with enough time to get all of our cargo packed. So we had a really nice last evening in the tent, had a bit of a celebration, ate our favourite D-High meals that we've chosen over the last 6 weeks. Tried to get through as much of the leftover dessert as we could. Now this is it, our last night on the ice. And back to the comforts of Summit tonight, hopefully. Well, it's day 41 and we did it. We're back at Summit. We picked up our final instruments. We've even, I'll show you, even got our pallet all packed up, ready for our flight tomorrow. It's amazing to think that that's all of our stuff on that pallet. Just incredible. So we've calculated we drove about 4,200 kilometres. That's like driving from Brisbane to Perth on snow machines, going probably on average 30 kilometres an hour over so many bumps. Both Johanna's and Clint's phones were counting bumps as steps, and we were getting up to like 20,000 steps a day. There were just so many bumps. So it's been a huge success. We've collected data over just an enormous proportion of Greenland. All of the instruments worked amazingly. Like, the coldest temperatures we had were below minus 35. We had winds more than 45 knots, such harsh conditions. and we managed to make it through them, and the instruments all managed to make it through them as well. We all got tired, but there were no kind of injuries, no safety incidents. There were no polar bears. There were no crevasses. It's pretty amazing to think. I still kind of need to get my head around it together, but still amazing to think that plan that I made sitting at my desk, putting dots on a map, we've now actually really achieved it. It really feels like an incredible achievement. So tomorrow the weather's been a bit crummy today, a bit windy, but so long as the plane is able to get here tomorrow, we'll fly back to Kangerlussuaq, and we have a couple of days there to get all the cargo packed up and ready to be sent off back to where it came from. I'll post again from Kangerlussuaq, but really it really feels like an incredible sense of achievement to have covered so much ground and collected data over just such a huge area of Greenland. With as I say, the most important thing, no one died, no one got injured, no real safety incidents at all. Really just a fantastic feeling. Well, that's that. I'm back here in Kangerlussuaq in a very different environment. You can see it's much warmer. Surrounded by these massive mosquitoes that are here in the spring and summertime. I've just left the warehouse, finished packing up all the gear in all the boxes to be sent back to where it comes from. That's that. Andreas left yesterday, and my flight to Copenhagen leaves in about an hour. Johanna's gonna go on a hike from here for a few days. And then it's all over. It's really it's really an astonishing feeling after really all those years of work planning it, and then this incredibly intense last 6 weeks that we've had, and now we all kind of go back to our normal lives. And I think it's going to take a bit of a while to get my head around exactly what we've achieved. It really feels like an incredible achievement, and to get my head back into normal life. The next step for me will be to process up all of the data and model it. And begin that work of then, now that we've done this incredible work to collect this really amazing data set, to work it up and understand what it means, and put it together in that picture so that we can make those improvements on the ice melting models, which is the whole reason that we're out here. So I was just talking to the people at the warehouse. Everybody here is so supportive of the science and so excited to support the science. It's really exciting, and it's really motivating as well to do my best with it, to take all of this incredible amount of effort that everybody has put in to enabling this to happen, and make sure that I do my best as I work on the data to make sure we get the most out of it. So that's Ash. That's the end of our field journey. It's been an incredible experience personally, and a really fantastic data set that we've collected.